Good evening, everybody. It is live radio here, Friday night, UCY.TV. This is the Boiler Room. I am Jim Funke, your host, and we will be together for the next hour. And the other guy, talking on the other mic, on the other side of the country, is Lance Musser. Good evening, Lance.
Good evening, Jimmy.
How's things over there?
Pretty good, pretty good. You could fill us in, though, on your weather situation. I know near you, first bad weather, non-snow related, I guess, of the year. So what happened out there?
Oh, yeah, we had all kinds of sirens going off and lightning in the skies and dark-ass clouds and twisters to the west and twisters to the south, and oh, my God.
And you were saying different colors. The
lightning was orange. It's the first time in my life I've ever seen orange lightning. I've lived in Texas. I've lived in Alaska. I've lived all over the United States. I've never seen orange lightning like that. I mean, it was like flame orange. Very, very unique. It was pretty cool. I mean, I was sitting here all night last night just listening to the shit go on around me, and right as the sun was going down, everything started cutting loose, man, and you could see this super, super dark black cloud going across the ridge just to my south. And between here and Norfolk, they just got hammered with all kinds of, I mean, there was big hail and.
Yeah, I saw the video of the softball size hail coming through buildings.
Oh, man, that was down in Texas. Yeah, that was oh, wow. Just punching holes straight through windshields, and yeah, I saw some of that too. It's all headed your way too.
We're not supposed to get any of it, just maybe slight rain, but we've got a big mountain, Appalachian and Smoky Mountains, that it's got to get over to really get to us. Not the Appalachian from where it's coming, but it's got some mountains to come over, and it'll block it. I've looked at the weather forecast for the next 5 days. It's fine.
Okay, we'll see. Dogs and wolves said that North Carolina was getting ready to get smoked, so we'll see. We'll see what happens to you.
Yeah. Hopefully nothing.
Yeah, what's happening on Wall Street?
Today,
Smoke'em's Market Minute.
The Dow was down almost a full %. The S&P was down 1.25%, and the NASDAQ was down over 2.5%.
Wow. So everybody was diving into gold?
Well, physicals and then the bonds. So there was some movement over into the bonds, which is the interest rates. So those improved by 8 basis points today. So that's a pretty good change.
Yeah, you said that we were adding all kinds of jobs and everything was going to be hunky-dory in about, 3 days? Right? Monday morning, sunshine, big rainbow, the United States is fixed.
It's interesting. I took off most of the day and I did a bunch of other stuff today, if you will.
Oh, all right.
And I was driving my dad's and my mom's car because they had my truck. I was hauling a mower around. And so they have satellite radio, and I always listen to POTUS and some of the other ones that are on satellite radio. Mm-hmm. These people are on drugs.
Oh, yeah.
They're on some laughing gas or something. Talking about, they added, what was it?
192,000.
But the unemployment stayed exactly the same. So
they were shooting for 200, and Wall Street was dropping 225. Anywhere between 208 and 225 is what Wall Street was shooting for. The government wanted 200. They wound up at 192. So they missed their mark. I mean, there's no, I don't understand how they can keep going lollipops and sunrise, and sunshine. It's just not there. It's, all the markers are saying that this is in the toilet.
Well, and it's math. So if they added that many jobs, then why would the unemployment rate? Yeah, the unemployment rate stayed exactly the same, and they added all these jobs. But all the talking heads on the radios and the satellite, keeping in mind that I listen to this stuff so I know what the sheeple are listening to, if they even go as far as listening to POTUS on satellite radio. But the line that these people are being fed, it mirrors mainstream media, talking about this is the kind of news that we were looking for. We've turned the corner on the jobs. Now the next report's going to be where, there were fewer jobs, but they're more higher paying jobs. And this is great.
Bullshit.
Unreal. So the Ponzi scheme continues. If you had a 401k, you lost a little bit of it today. Good article came out today at The Voice of Russia. It's actually a new site that I've been following a little while. Mm-hmm. Probably like RT a little bit. They bust everybody is what it seems like. But the big story, and everybody keeps harping on the petrodollar. And I don't know if you've seen, some of the other stories, where they're making agreements with Iran and these other countries to just absolutely bypass, the dollar totally.
Because we're obsolete.
Well, they're setting up a Russian commodity exchange where reference prices for Russian oil and natural gas will be set in rubles instead of dollars. And that'll be a strong blow to the petrodollar. This is exactly what we talked about on Wednesday and what other people were talking about. All it takes is one big country to stand up to the U.S. and say no on the petrodollar.
Ferocious.
Because the couple of them that have tried to stand up to the petrodollar weren't big enough players in the game, and they got killed.
Because we bombed them.
Right. So we can't do that with this one. So just like everybody's saying, and I've been saying all along, be looking for a false flag. I hope we get a chance to talk about the Fort Hood thing later because that's disturbing on so many levels.
Oh yeah, we're gonna spend some time on that tonight.
Good, I hope so. But other than that, I mean, it was there were no new bankers' deaths this week that were reported. They may have happened, we just don't know about them yet. But other than that, it was a calm, quiet day. No weird news stories. So that's my market minute.
Wow, that was a short one.
Well, it's just it's the one story. I want to get to the other stuff.
Oh, right on. I got you.
Definitely the Fort Hood thing because that one's fascinating me. Because that base commander's already flip-flopping on his statements. And, I've heard both of them. Mm-hmm. So it'd be something to talk about.
Yeah, we'll pull up some clips and play them here a little bit. No hyper report from Scott today, but we're going to play yesterday's because it was quite interesting. And I didn't have a show yesterday to play it on, so we're going to play it today. Oh God, man, I'm really getting tired of these capitalists and all their ads.
This is Scott Nisso Hyper Report. Today's report is sponsored by the free book Ramblings of a Madman. Here are the quotes for various items. First, residents return home. After 3 years, Fukushima residents were allowed to return home. Radiation levels range from 0.11 microsieverts to 0.48 microsieverts per hour. As a comparison, background radiation is about 0.2 microsieverts per hour in Denver. Next, natural gas. The ace that Russia has over Europe is the fact that Europe depends upon Russian natural gas to keep warm during the winter. With sanctions dictated by Obama, Europe has to make some hard decisions as to where they're going to get the gas to keep warm if Putin shuts off the gas supply. Their supply lines from Africa to the Norwegian production are going down. One look at the interactive map of natural gas flowing into Europe makes the Russian natural gas reliance clear. In short, if it comes to push and shove, Europe will not back the U.S. against Russia. Next, Blythe Masters. Blythe Masters, who headed J.P. Morgan's commodity business and who played a starring role in the 2008 financial crisis, is jumping ship. She will spend the next few months assisting as J.P. Morgan completes the sale of its physical commodities business, or put it another way, perhaps destroying all evidence of wrongdoing so she can escape the country before things go south. Next, 5 reasons Obama's 7.1 million number is meaningless. Here are a few. 1. That number does not measure how many have actually paid. 2. That number does not identify how many were previously uninsured. 3. The trend appears to be dropping. For example, 2 to 5% who paid in January did not pay in February. Next, pepper spray. For those quick, non-lethal situations, such as keeping the kids in the backseat or your mother-in-law quiet, you want the right type of pepper spray. Here are a number of steps without going into detail. Step 1. Choose the right formula or mixture. Step 2. Choose the right canister size to meet your needs. Step 3. Choose the best spray pattern. Step 4. Use good tactics to be able to use it quickly. Finally, please prepare now for the escalating economic and social unrest. Good day.
We have seen what the dependence and addiction to foreign oil has done to the U.S. economy. That was his quote at the end there. I didn't see who it was by, but yeah, we've seen it. We've seen it. Because if Tesla was around, if they taught us about him in school, we wouldn't be in this mess. I guarantee you that.
All that aside, I mean, we have more, from what I understand, in the Gulf, Texas, Montana, Alaska,
than all of Saudi Arabia, yeah.
Than all of Saudi Arabia. And the only reason that we're dependent on foreign oil is because of the petrodollar.
And we ship all of our oil out of this country. We don't keep any of it here.
Because that's the OPEC agreement. I mean,
right.
you mine it here, ship it out over there to be sold in the dollar, and then brought all the way back over here. So, yeah, I mean, he's right on one point, but I mean, we're only dependent on foreign oil because of the petrodollar.
Right.
Once it crashes, I wonder what will happen. You know, I don't know that we'll want to sell our oil over there if it's not going to be in the dollar. Yeah. Unless the people that own the oil company are running the game no matter what the freaking currency the oil is trading in.
Right. Right. Well, when the dollar crashes, there won't be anybody around to pump the oil or refine the oil or anything because they're not going to get paid. Well, dollar crashed.
I've tried to.
What are you going to get paid in, right?
Yeah, I've tried to envision this crash, and I don't know how. It'll be very interesting how they pull it off. And I hope the American people don't get fooled by the beat of a war drum from some warmonger McCain.
Please.
Hiding. Well, it's happened before.
You think?
A couple times lately. It didn't happen in Syria, though.
Nope. Because it wasn't here. They're not asleep like we are, right? They're all protesting their government and bitching about what's going on and changing things.
Did you
unlike the United States, where everybody's sitting on their ass watching the next shit on TV, right? And drinking their beer and their fluoridated water and taking their vaccines and holding their hands out because I think 80% of the population of this country gets some kind of check from the government.
I know, 70 something.
Close to 80. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No.
Just had to rain a little bit.
No.
But that's why that, how are they going to do it? They're just going to sit back and let it happen.
It'll be interesting. I mean, they can't take the blame though. They've got to push the blame off on somebody else. And it's got to be a foreign nation that we can attack because they attack the banking system. I mean, I'm liking the cyber theory on it.
Yeah.
And then that way they could say, that's why you're not getting paid.
Yeah.
Instead of we're broke.
The money, it's all tied up in the electronic shit. We can't get to it because of the Syrian Electronic Army or some Russian hacker or something. Right?
That's what I'm thinking.
China? North Korea?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, don't they try all the time? I mean,
Iraq. That's what it is. Iraq.
You were talking about people being awake. Did you even see a story about a big protest in New York City yesterday about the SAFE Act, the gun? I mean, it looked like a ton of people. I saw one story about it from one of the friends that's a big Second Amendment on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed the picture of a huge rally in New York City over the SAFE Act, this gun control stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not one story on it anywhere on the mainstream media. Anywhere.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Well,
they're talking about the shooter in Fort Hood. That's why.
That's It's to get guns away from vets. But we'll get to talk about that, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No guns allowed on a military installation. Boy, that makes some serious sense.
Yeah.
We'll let you have geniuses on Wall Street, man. The geniuses on Capitol Hill. They're the ones that are running this country. And we let them.
As the saying goes, if your job is to tell me how to do my job, shouldn't you know how to do my job?
Exactly. So let's let Manarino talk for a minute. He's got some pretty good stuff that he said today. So 7.5 minutes. Here we go. We can cut him off too if he starts. I don't think he gets too rubbernecky though.
Gregor Manarino, how are you today? It is Friday, April 4th, 2014. People, what a day on Wall Street. And I want to talk about this because it's really incredible. Let's start here. Equities plunged today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average had an over 225 point swing. Early at the market open, we were seeing gains across the board. And then we get this jobs number, which I spoke about yesterday, and the market didn't like it. I think there's a little more to it than that. But let's back up just a moment. Over the past several days, this jobs number has been hyped and more hyped. And there was all kinds of talk about what it would be. The street whisper number was 220, 230, 240. We actually missed the mark. Wall Street was expecting about 200,000. We added 192,000. And much of that was part-time. And the other real fly in the ointment here, people, is something I've been talking about over the past couple of days. It's manufacturing. The manufacturing sector is shrinking, and we seem to be adding more service-related jobs. This is abysmal. We also found out that yesterday our trade deficit, our trade gap is widening because we're not exporting things, because we're not making them. People, really, this economy, despite what the stock market has been doing, is a dead man walking. I think you realize that here. It's utterly bizarre, seriously, across the board, to see what is going on here. And I go over it all the time, how the fundamentals that are supposed to support this market are just not there. And today was a clear or a rude awakening to the market. And, we saw what happened here. What else happened? An incredible move into bonds, also precious metals as well. A major safety play. So what does that tell us all? We may be in store for something here that could be profound. But again, people, I think in this managed market, and this is something I went over just yesterday, it's anyone's guess right now. And just going back to that real quick, what do we find out? We find out that the Attorney General, Eric Holder, is now going to be looking into the market rigging by high frequency trading. It's asinine, okay? The biggest market rigger of them all is the Federal Reserve. Why doesn't anyone wake up and talk about it? Because they're all on the same team here, people. I think you know that here. We keep getting force-fed the absolutely false news that our economy is doing better. It is absolutely not doing better. And I've said this before, and I'm going to keep saying it until, whenever, that all we have is an explosion in credit and debt being fostered by a Federal Reserve that has gone mad. And what that has done has distorted everything beyond now the point of absolute ridiculousness, people, and there's going to be a price to pay that is going to be hard to swallow. I can promise you that. So the biggest market manipulator and rigor, but by any standard, is the Federal Reserve. Forget this high frequency trader, Eric Holder, you inept SOB. Frankly, look in the right spot. It's the Fed. Oh God. It's just so bad, people. I mean, it's actually beyond belief what's going on here. And I can tell you this market is tired. It's had a crazy run here. Again, moving further and further away from fundamentals here. And there are some out there calling for a major correction. I'm one of them. It's going to happen at one point, and maybe it just started today. I mean, you just don't know here. You don't know what's going to happen next week with this managed market when some member of the Federal Reserve or Janet Yellen decides to come out here and blow sunshine up the crack of this market. Again, they're hell bent on causing a greater and greater rift between the market and what the fundamentals are dictating. And many, many, many people are going to get burned here. Again, I've gone over this. This is a wealth transfer scheme, people. It's being set up. They're trying to get as many people as they can to invest in this stock market and put everything they have into it. And then they're going to roll it over and they're going to short it all on the other side. It's a pump and dump. I've been going over this for I don't know how long. And the middle class is going to get fleeced here. And then maybe the inept SOB, Eric Holder, will look into the real market rigger. And that is the U.S. Federal Reserve that has rigged the markets of the world. Okay, because the U.S. dollar is the world's reserve currency. It's laughable, everyone. And I am more than certain that if you follow this blog and you get it, you're probably laughing just like I am. All right, people. So let's see. In summary here, we're getting miss with regard to the super overhyped jobs number today. A market that was up ended up getting slammed across the board. The Nasdaq, I think, fell almost 2.6%. A massive move here into bonds, and not just U.S. bonds. Interesting. Keep that in mind here, people. I always tell you to watch the bond market and cash flowing into commodities. Very interesting movement of monies here, and that it may be a setup for something as we move forward. And we're just going to see how this plays out. It's very difficult to try to wade through all this with this managed market that we have, and the absolute distortions and rigging by the U.S. Federal Reserve. And people just really got to get on the ball here. And these financial channels and these, frankly, inept individuals who don't see what's right in front of their face. And that is, again, a Federal Reserve that has gone mad, and has no idea what they're doing, or they are very aware of what they're doing, and they're going to foster this wealth transfer, people. That's my take on this, honestly. All right, everyone, that's going to be it for today. Again, it's Friday. I will not be doing another blog until Monday. I hope all of you have a really great and safe weekend. I'll see you then. Take care.
Don't forget to click on his head. Okay, so like we've been saying forever, they're fleecing this country. And Ban was talking about it in the room there. You know, he was saying like this hasn't been going on forever and ever and ever. And I said, yeah, we've been getting fleeced since 2008. And he said it was way before that. You're right. It was.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't really paying attention
years.
to it. Yeah. Since 1913, man. I mean, since since the Fed took over, they've been screwing us, taking our wealth, taking everything, taxing the shit out of everybody,
And he said, they don't see the stuff right before them. I'm not so sure they don't see it, but it doesn't benefit them any to tell the truth. I mean, think of anybody that's dealing with Wall Street. How does it benefit any of them if they start speaking the truth?
Right. They're going to wind up jumping out a window, right?
Or people are going to start pulling their money, out of their 401ks, et cetera. And
that too. Yeah.
Their portfolios are going to go down just like it did in 2008.
Right. So, all right, we're going to exit Wall Street, and we're going to start talking about this Fort Hood shooting. And I know that you got a big itch in your butt, so go ahead. You take off, and I'm going to go dig up some videos so we can hear some other talking heads rap about it. And
all right, good. Yeah. I mean, when I heard about it, was it yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday when I heard about it. I hadn't even heard about it on the news. I hadn't turned on the radio. I didn't listen. I talked on the phone on the way in. So the security guard at the building where I work mentioned it to me. So I went and looked at it, and the first report I heard, this was on public radio, the base commander, he used the word fundamentally, which anytime somebody uses that word, it was handed to him in a speech.
Yep.
And, the fundamental reason that this happened is because, he had mental health issues. So right away, before anything even, the same day, the base commander is already coming out saying, mental health issues. It turns out that the two kids that got shot, or two of them that got shot, actually had a verbal altercation with this guy, minutes before they got shot. I don't know if they were picking on him. I don't know what the fight's about yet. I hadn't heard that, but I did see a couple reports on that. But the base commander has also retracted his statement, and he says that no, it doesn't have anything to do with mental. It was this argument pushed him over the edge. He was upset at the military because they only gave him 1 day to go to his mother's funeral, and not a couple days for bereavement. So it was, this fight is what set him off now. This was just a couple hours ago I heard this. Flip-flopping already.
What's new?
Well, nothing's new with that, but you've got 2 shootings now at Fort Hood. Mm-hmm. Both of them would fall under and I don't remember the new program, the old MK Ultra.
Operation Butterfly.
Yeah. The, Colorado movie theater, the DC lady, maybe even the Navy Yard guy.
This cat bought his gun at the same place that Nidal Hassan bought his.
Is that the major that went crazy?
Yep. Okay. Yep. And that's been 5 years ago already. That was in 2009. That blew me away when I heard that yesterday. It's like, it's been 5 years since the last shooting at Fort Hood. I was like, 5 years ago? God, where is the time going? Did we slip into a freaking hole or something? But anyway, I digress.
No. I mean, we're still on the same topic, but the last couple of them were, the recent ones, there will never, ever, ever be a chance of ever seeing video footage, surveillance footage, because it happened on a military installation. Yes. So you've got 2 instances where people, Feinstein and them, are just hammering gun control, coming out on gun control, and nobody can independently verify other than the story that they're telling us.
Exactly. Because he shot himself in the head so conveniently. Yeah. Had 51 rounds or something on his person. He had enough ammo to do more damage than he did. I think he only reloaded twice. And then just out of a whim, he sees a security guard or something, and he shoots himself in the face.
Right.
So anyway,
the whole thing's fishy.
It is. Let's drop this video real quick and let everybody hear some of the mainstream blowhards talk about this. Actually, I think this is coming from RT, so it might actually have a smidgen of truth to it. But anyway, here we go. He was on antidepressants.
We begin tonight with the latest information regarding the shooting that took place yesterday at a U.S. military base in Fort Hood, Texas. In the morning, we learned that the shooter, identified as Ivan Lopez, was an Iraq War veteran being treated for mental illness. He opened fire at Fort Hood, killing 3 people and wounding 16 others before committing suicide. This attack comes just 5 years after more than a dozen people were killed in 2009 at the very same military base. To discuss this more, I was joined by RT's Ramon Galindo. I first asked him to give us the latest on the incident.
Sure. Just a quick few facts about what we learned in the press conference that was held just a few minutes ago. Now, the commander there at Fort Hood said that there was a strong possibility that there was a verbal altercation with another soldier before the specialist Lopez opened fire. The commander also said that there was strong evidence that Lopez was mentally unstable. However, they said that there was no indication that he was targeting anyone specifically. They also said that from the first 911 call, it was only 4 minutes later that he was confronted by a female military police officer, and then Lopez took his own life. They also mentioned that he purchased the weapon that he used in the shooting back on March 1st. Now, his timeline as far as before he came to Fort Hood, he was only moved there since February. Before that, he was at Fort Bliss. No word on why he changed bases. And as you mentioned in your introduction, he is an Iraq War veteran where he served back in 2011 as a truck driver. Now, yesterday the Army said that he was not involved in combat situations, but being a truck driver in Iraq can also be quite dangerous. Truck drivers, whether they be in the military or contractors, have told several stories of being involved in or having to deal with improvised explosive devices. And many veterans will also tell you that even if you're not in a combat zone, just being deployed, you experience quite a bit of traumatic experiences. So just going back to Lopez and the situation here, he purchased the gun last month. He was also evaluated by psychiatrists there on base last month, who said that he didn't show any sort of signs that he was going to be hurting himself or others. So I'm sure they'll be taking a look at that, whether there was any sort of gaps in the evaluation.
Clearly, they're going to be trying to connect all the dots here. This obviously brings up a lot of bad memories for people who remember just less than 5 years ago, the Fort Hood shooting that took place. Do you think it's likely that authorities are, really trying to figure out how the security on this base, the same base, was compromised?
What security?
Sure. Well, there were safety improvements after the 2009 shooting. There was training to deal with active shooter situations. And today we heard that between the first 911 calls and the time that Lopez shot himself, it was only 4 minutes. And the Army supports the safety improvements that they have made. Now, there has been some criticism as to the very strict gun regulations on military bases. Soldiers are not allowed to bring their own guns onto bases unless they register it first. And so obviously what Lopez did was against regulations as well. But this morning, the Army defended those regulations. So haven't indicated whether any drastic changes will be made to security protocol at military bases here in the U.S.
I know, man. He needs to.
The root cause of this, because if you look at
puff on some oxygen before he goes on air.
The 2009 attack at Fort Hood, he was an Army psychiatrist dealing with soldiers coming back from war. He was also likely dealing with some form.
All right, we already know about Nidal Hassan. I'm not going to give that jackass any more airtime. Yeah, so here you gotta hang on. Let me connect some dots here real quick. Yeah. So here you got 5 years ago, a psychiatrist grabbed a gun and started banging away and shot a bunch of people, and then got shot in the back and paralyzed. Okay, roll the clock ahead forward 5 years, and now there's a psychiatrist's dummy that grabs a gun and goes out and starts banging away because this guy was seeing, he was on antidepressants, he just got evaluated, blah 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 blah. Right? So, Fort Hood, what's up with y'all? I mean, the psychiatrists are crazy. The cats that are seeing the psychiatrists are crazy. I think you might want to take a look at something in your psych eval department on that base. Because this guy was going around telling everybody that he suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder and had a traumatic brain injury over in Iraq, which is false. He was never injured. Right. He never saw combat. He was never close to an IED explosion. He never took a piece of shrapnel. He didn't even have a hangnail. Okay? So what's up with this cat? I mean, is he just trying to get attention from somebody? Or is he, as Lance alluded to earlier, some kind of MK Ultra wash?
Well, I mean, I think the ulterior motive, because they'll never let a good crisis go to waste, is definitely gun control for vets. I immediately thought of that. That lady on the story said beefing up security for the base and everything else.
What security? What?
Well, I mean, I'll share this with you. If you're an active duty military or dependent, you show an ID, you hand your ID to the people, and as long as you have your seatbelt on, they look at your ID for 3 seconds and hand it back to you.
That's right.
and go. And if there's any civilians in the car, all they do is look at their driver's license, match it up to them, and let them go. I mean, you could have a carload of rockets if you wanted in the back, and you could get right in through the front gate. So it smells
badly.
It does. We'll see what comes out more of it. But if they start talking about anything to do with, you might not be able to get a gun permit or a concealed carry. If you've seen combat now and you get out of the military, if you start hearing that rhetoric,
mandatory psych evaluations for everyone coming out of a combat zone.
You know, I'll bet they do that already now. That would be my guess.
I don't think they're mandatory, but I guarantee you that everybody that has seen a psych has that in their jacket, and they are flagged for some future whatever.
Right. I know what you're talking about. It's in the medical records because I had to say I was
came out of tour. Yeah. Spent a tour, came back, had some issues, saw me. Might want to keep an eye on them. Check. Just kind of, that's the way they roll. All right. What else you want to add on that? Because I definitely want to hit on something else before we run out of time on the show. We got about a little over 20 minutes left.
No, let's roll. Well, hopefully by Monday, we'll have some more stuff on that. Because I think this is going to be
that was the only clip I could find on Pigmine about it. Nothing from ABC, NBC, CB, blah, blah, blah. RT was the only one.
The quotes that I was listening to on public radio when different people were talking.
Right.
They pretty much quoted that guy right there. It was, they didn't name him, but they were saying about the same thing he did. Yeah, what the hell was that, man? It sounded like he was jogging.
I know, man. He needs to be huffing some oxygen or something before he goes on air. That was some serious lung damage or something. I don't know. He lives on the West Coast though, so it might be Fukushima related.
Smog, yeah, something.
Yeah. Okay, rolling forward now.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about, and I hate to do this too because it's been beat up for over a month now. We're going to talk about Flight 370 for just a little bit.
Who? What?
Yeah.
What's that? I hadn't heard of that yet.
There's a couple things I want to hit on. Number one, and there's quite a bit of this going around on social media. There is so much garbage in the ocean that these assholes don't know where to look anymore. The ones that are actually out there trying to find a plane and some bodies and try to give people back their loved ones, so they can have a proper burial. Because I'm sure that there are some people out there that are actually, full on that this thing went in the ocean and they need to try to find it. Okay. It's bullshit, but there's people out there that are genuinely trying to find these people that are missing.
A plane doesn't go missing off this planet.
No. But
it just doesn't happen.
No, but the fact that these cats are flying, they've covered almost 1 million square miles of ocean looking for this. And they're spotting trash everywhere. Uh-huh. So, hey, I think maybe you guys need to run around with some nets and start scooping some of this shit out of the water. Just maybe, you wouldn't want it floating around in your pond in your backyard, right? So, hey, start cleaning up after yourselves, folks. That's just ridiculous that these people are, oh my God, our satellite saw a bottle cap. We got to go look and see if it came off of Flight 370. Okay, here's what I really want to discuss about this plane. And you brought it up last week, I think.
That it didn't exist?
No.
Oh.
That Israel has an exact duplicate of this plane in a hangar.
Israel or Iran?
Israel.
Oh, I thought it was Iran.
No. It's Israel. They have this plane in a hangar in their country. Not this particular plane, not Flight 370, but they have a Boeing 777 Series 200 that's painted as a Malaysian airliner. It was purchased from Malaysia by Israel, and it's sitting in one of their hangars. They purchased this December of last year. Now, granted, the plane has a different serial number, but here's one thing about this plane that nobody's bringing up. Actually, I've only heard one person bring it up, and it was X-22 report. The plane that's sitting in the hangar in Israel has a 10,000-mile fuel capacity, which is 3,000 more than the one missing in Malaysia, than Flight 370. When it was full of fuel, it had a 7,000-mile radius that it could fly. The one in Israel has a 10,000-mile radius that it can fly. That's all the way across the pond, y'all. Now, I don't want to be a fearmonger. I don't want to be called a conspiracy theorist. But I do want to tell you that there's only one reason for them to buy that plane. And it sure as hell ain't to put in Tel Aviv Airlines or whatever the F it is over there. Because they buy new when they buy. They don't buy used. Now, either they're going to fly that plane into the United States for a false flag with something on board, or they're going to fly it into Iran. And I think that's where they're going to go with it, is in Iran.
I'm not buying it.
You're not?
I'm not buying it.
Okay.
It's too much trouble to steal a plane when they have the capabilities, the abilities to deliver, whatever target payload that they want to deliver there. I believe that they already have it, and they wouldn't have to go on the world stage, create a conspiracy that captures the world stage for a month now, all for the purpose of flying a plane into somewhere. I just don't buy it.
Okay, well, hang on. Let me flip this at you then too, because I was laying in bed last night and I couldn't get by this. I was tossing and turning until about, 1 o'clock, until it finally hit me. Israel is getting ready to have their own 9/11. They're going to take that plane because, look, if you think back, everybody, two of the people that got on that plane were Iranian. Two of the people that got on that plane supposedly were Iranian. Okay? Now, listen, what if Israel takes their dummy plane and puts a dirty bomb on it or a nuclear warhead on it or a bioweapon on it or something like that and flies it into one of their own buildings right in Tel Aviv and then blames it on Iran and gives them a reason to start the war?
They flew them into our buildings.
Right.
Israel did.
Right.
So, there's nothing to say they wouldn't do it to themselves.
Right. How do you think that might fly?
But then how do you explain where the plane came from? And how do you explain?
They already said that it went up into Pakistan, right? They got somebody, you said that last week. Somebody said it flew up into Pakistan, right? So they dropped that little bomb out there. There you go. It flew up into Pakistan. Okay. So then Pakistanis got it and it's on the ground and they're in cahoots with the Iranians. And then they load this thing up with all the C4 or whatever the hell they got that they can get their hands on, right? That's going to be the game that they're going to play. That's going to be the cards that they're going to throw out there.
Yeah.
You watch.
Anon in the room asking why the Israeli embassies are closed worldwide. And it's a good point.
Well, they're trying to blame that on some kind of budget crunch or something. Yeah.
Yeah. But they're not our friends. I've known that for a long time. They're definitely not our friends. But I just have a hard time believing that we will see that plane again. I think it had something to do with the semiconductor patent people. I've seen the Rothschild things on the patent that was filed. You don't hear much about that. I think it had something to do with the semiconductor people, and it's a global cover up because a plane just doesn't disappear off this planet, a jumbo jet. And China's embarrassed because we stole all their people. It just doesn't make any sense any other way, or it never existed because there's a lot of compelling evidence that says that it never existed too.
Yeah, only on paper.
Correct.
Now, here's one other thing that I found out, and I passed this along to you earlier today. I don't know if you saw the video or not yet. There was a request yesterday filed from Diego Garcia. It's on fezbidops.org or whatever the hell the website is, fbo.org or whatever, fbo.gov, fedbizops. Look under Diego Garcia, and you will see that there's an open source for a container ship to haul personnel and material from Diego Garcia to Malaysia.
No, Jimmy, let's think about that. That has got to be a red herring right there. Because one,
it's on it. Okay, go ahead.
I don't believe it. I mean, I'll go to the FedBiz thing when we're done because I know the Potter guy or whoever it is, Micah, always has those on there. There is no way the most top secret facility next to Area 51. You can't Google Diego Garcia and find out anything on the internet about this thing other than it's a top secret government thing. Nothing. You can't find out anything about this base. You can't tell me that they'd be opening, that they would allow an open contract for somebody to go out into the middle of the frickin' Indian Ocean for transport somewhere. Come on. That doesn't fly one bit. That would be like them putting out a biz to pull a spaceship out of Area 51 and opening it up to
you got to understand something, you got to understand something though, man. These people that own these large ships that do this work for contract for government agencies are the same people all the time. They do this constantly. So they're already on the in. You see what I'm saying? I mean, they're not going to take some man. If they're going to take bids and they're going to pick the guy that they want to do the job because he's done it for them before. You feel me?
I don't think they would announce anything from Diego Garcia. That place is so secreted. You can't even go onto Google Maps. And if you try hovering over it, it's all shaded out. You can't see anything on the island because it's totally blacked out on Google Maps. So I just have a hard time believing that one, most people wouldn't have that ability to get out there, security clearance, everything else. It's so secret out there.
Okay. I just thought I'd throw it out there because it is on their website.
You're not the first person to.
I did click the link. Yeah, I did click the link and I went and looked at it myself and I didn't, I forwarded the video, I think, but I don't know if I posted it.
Yeah, you forwarded it to me and I saw somebody else posting it. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, no way. That has got to be
Diego Garcia is British controlled. I mean, there's a military, there's U.S. military on there, there's British military on there, there's Japanese military on there.
No, it's American controlled.
No, it's British owned island chain.
Right, given to the Americans for military purposes. But
right. We planted we spent all the money building the
That's where all the radar dishes are.
Right, but there's like 3 or 4 different countries that do their shit out there.
I mean, if you believe some of the stuff, that's where the UFO bases have their bases under the ocean because nobody sees them, flying into the ocean from there.
Right.
There's been plenty of stories about that too.
It's 1,000 miles from anywhere.
From anywhere, yeah.
It's just a little archipelago in the middle of nowhere.
Right. A paradise.
Yeah. It was until the U.S. stepped on the soil.
Right.
Okay. So here's one other thing. This is the last, my last little bit for tonight. I didn't really prep a whole lot for this show, but these are a couple things that just caught my attention over the last 48 hours. So we talked about Wall Street and we talked about the shooting in Fort Hood and we talked about the plane. Now, there was one other little blip that came out and it was on Before It's News. And I knew from the moment I saw it come out that it was horse shit. And you knew it too. Because you tried to fit an iPhone up your ass and you couldn't do it. So this cat that supposedly crammed his iPhone up his ass when this plane was being held hostage and then shat it out and photographed a shot out of the window or something. It showed up black. I mean, there was nothing, but there was some kind of coordinates off of it from a satellite connect. Okay. This cat was also a victim of the Boston bombing. And there's a picture of him laying on the ground with his arms crossed, waiting for the medics to get to him like la-di-da. Mm-hmm. So I knew from the word go that story was bullshit, and that's just flaming proof that it's bullshit.
I never posted that story. Every one of my friends that I saw post that story, I posted it in the comment section. This is a bullshit story put out there to make alternative media look like fools for even putting this bullshit story out. And I was telling people from the get-go, don't post this story. It's bullshit.
Yeah. And it's stuff like this that just breaks my heart, because there's so many people out here that are putting everything they have into trying to wake people up and change this country and change this world for the better. Mm-hmm. For these people to connect themselves with a truther movement in any way, shape, or form, and to put crap like this out there is just, it's heartbreaking. It really is.
Well, I would imagine that it was actually misinformation on their part, that they put that story out there. I don't think somebody with malicious intent that is a truther, put that story out there with good intentions. I think that story was planted by CIA, NSA, whatever alphabet agency you want. That story was dropped out there so the alternative media would pick up on it. Because if you notice, there ain't one mainstream media that I saw ever talk about that story.
I want you to go over to the chat room, and I want you to click on the link that Hunt just dropped in there for Diego Garcia. Mm-hmm. You can see the whole thing clear as a bell. Every fucking road, every airport strip, every building, everything. Clear
then that must be an archive one, because I go to Google Maps and I go to the one, and I could drop you my link, or I could do screen share. And the one that I'm looking at is totally blacked out. Maybe not on her link. I'll click on her link now. This one's clear. Mm-hmm. But if you go, when I went through just Google Maps and then went and hovered over the base, it's totally blacked out and you can't see any of it.
I'm damn. That's a lot of construction on that little ring. Mm-hmm. And it makes you wonder, man. I mean, if you look at it, it looks like a caldera. Wouldn't it be great if after every civilian was off that place, it just kind of...
It's not very big.
Well, no, it's not. And it's way the F out there.
It's all a runway.
Yeah, I mean,
like
for the most part.
Runway.
Yeah, British Indian Ocean Territory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is cool.
Yep, it's right smack in the middle. Right smack.
Yeah, and you can see all those big hangars. Look at all the B-52s there, because that's the refueling area. And they've been flying out of there for 30 years.
Oh yeah, it's like a stopping point, a waypoint.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of B-52s on the runway.
Mm-hmm. I can't see, it says imagery 2014, Terrametrics map data 2014. So that's a recent shot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just let me go to my Google map.
Wow. I wonder what all our planes are doing out there.
Well, that's where the base is.
Yeah, I know, but just. It's
very cool.
Yeah, it is a very cool looking airport. Very, flat. It looks like it's, just like one little 10-meter wave would, it might do some damage. You think? It looks really flat. It doesn't, I don't see any, ooh, wow, one of the planes is gone. That's cool. You can see on the runway where the engines fire up all the burn marks. Very neat.
This map still has half of it shaded out, though. Kind of weird. that lagoon is split right down the middle. But that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. It is. Thank you, Hunt, for dropping that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
That we have the best listeners on radio. I'm telling you.
But finding out what is done out there, other than we know that they keep B-52s out there, information is not very forthcoming on what they do out there.
No.
It's sort of like Area 51.
A lot like Area 51. A lot like a lot of these bases. You don't hear a whole lot about what goes on in Ohio at Wright Pat. That's pretty secretive too. Mm-hmm. You don't hear a whole lot about what goes on in Kansas anymore at the old mainframe compound underground. So, they're very, very secretive. They don't want anybody to know. DARPA stuff. I mean, it's all, you're never going to find out anything. The president doesn't even know what goes on at Area 51. He can't get authorization to go out there. You have to have a presidential clearance to get out there, but the president himself can't go.
It's funny. I was talking to a client the other day doing an application. And I'm not going to say his name so I can talk about what happened. And prior military, civil service, and we were I was getting all the places that he was. And he said Nellis, one of the places. I said, you weren't at Nellis. I said, you flew out to Area 51 every day from Nellis. And I said, that's where you were. And he goes, every day. And that's all he said. That's all he said.
Janet Airways.
Yep. Janet Airways every day. But that's all you can say.
Yep.
Because I was talking about the building I'm in, which has got 8 government contractors in there. And you ask any of them, hey, what do you do for a living? Government contractor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What do you do? Government contracts.
That's earlier when I said that 777 had a 10,000 mile radius, I made a mistake. It's 12,000.
Is it really?
Yeah, 12,000 mile radius. Okay. Well, so before we go, we got a minute left. Again, I want to go around and thank everybody that's in the chat room for listening to this channel, listening to my show, chiming in with their thoughts and helping out. 8 Hawks, Banjovi, Desert Hawk, you, Mr. Lance Musser, me, Hecty, Ombre, Hunt. Thanks again for that link, Hunt. That was awesome. Jax, JJ, you're in there 3 times, my friend. Mr. Joe Friday, Jules, you rock, Jules. I love you so much. I can't believe that you're still doing all this 24 hours a day. Coda, Meat Dog, Ms. C. Gypsy, Road Dog, SLC Mike. Good evening, Michael. Mr. Vincent Easley and a couple of Anons that are in the room. Anyone else that's listening to the sound of my voice, please help this network out a little bit. When you go to ucy.tv, you'll see some banner ads that are up on certain pages. Click on one of those at least one time a day. If not, maybe 2. Don't go overboard, but just click it. Give us a couple of cents. It doesn't cost you anything. Spread the love. Love and peace and happiness to everybody. Thanks, Lance. We'll see you guys tomorrow night for After the Last Cup. Turboville's replay is next. And then Levon, Anti-Media Radio. Peace, everybody.